Hey everybody, welcome. Today we're going to be working on Google Sites. To get to Google Sites, we're going to start up here in this square of squares, and we're going to find the Google Sites. Just click on that. It'll bring this page up. We do not want to use the Create button to start our sites. What we want to do is go down to the bottom and choose the New Google Sites option. From here, it's like many of the other Google tools, this plus sign in the bottom right hand corner. We're just going to click that to create our new site, and just like that it's created. We can get started by naming our site. And that can always be changed once you decide if you want to do more with your site. If you know exactly what it is, perfect. Your page title, this can either be deleted by clicking on it and hitting the delete button, or you can add the name of your front page. This is further customizable, the text, by once you click in it, you can choose the font size. And this isn't like a lot of other programs where there's a numerical font size. Here they're just giving you small subheading, heading, title, normal, but we're going to keep it as the title because this is again our first site. Now if I want to customize my header, I do have options there. Number one, I can control the size of it, and I can go from a full cover, I can go to a large banner which shrinks it a little bit, I could go to the banner, or I could go to the title only. For our purposes, I'm going to stick with the default, which is the banner. Now if I wanted to change the image in the back, I again just mouse over the header, I click change image. I can upload something I have on my computer that I wanted to use, or I can select an image, which gives me the most options. First is a gallery that Google's put together for you. You just click on one, choose select, and you've changed the back. You'll watch the readability over here in the bottom right hand corner, and that'll change it to make your text easier to read against the background you chose. You can also, from select image, put a URL. You find an image and you really want to use it, just grab the URL and paste it in. You can do the search. And find an image that's available in Google, and here they're all Creative Commons, so they're licensed for you to use in your site without any problems. You just choose one, you go to select, and it'll put it in there. Again, it'll adjust for readability. There's not many options in changing the crop or zooming in. The only thing you could do is go to header type, and you can make it larger and even larger if you wanted to make it more square. So now we're going to insert material into your site. So if you're using this as an e-portfolio, this would be where you start to add images and maybe videos and some text. There's a menu bar over on the right hand side, and I can just click the text box, which will give me a text box, and then I can type into it whatever I needed to. From here, if I wanted to change the font, again, it's really simple options. I go to where it says normal text, hit the drop down, and I can choose title, heading, subheading. I can also justify it if I wanted it to be different. I can also put a link in. So if I wanted the test site to link to something, and then I can also trash it. The last thing I can do is choose a background color, and that is again simple. It's either gray, this blue-green, or I can put an image. And again, the readability will adjust it. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not. You can always click that off if you choose to. There is another way to add text. It's just by putting your cursor anywhere on your screen and double clicking, this wheel comes up with choices, and I can just click text. And once I decide where I like it, maybe this test site I want below the text, there are these little holes on the top. Actually, they're on the top here, and they're on the side. If I grab that, I can drag it down and then just drop it, and that'll change the setup. Adding images is pretty much the same as when we did the header. I can start over here on the right hand side, or I can just double click, go to images, and now I can put images in. Whether I upload them, I do a search. Again, I select the image I want and I just put it in. Once it's in here, I do have a little bit of cropping power. I can also change the size of it by grabbing these corners and dragging it. If I wanted to link, I also have the ability to hyperlink, and then I can trash it as well. Another option for inserting is straight from your Google Drive. So I just double clicked with my left mouse button. I went to my drive. I can look through my drive. So here where we're putting stuff in folders is probably helpful. See what's in the coding. I have a slideshow from a presenter, and again I just select it, and then I insert it. And I can make that bigger, smaller, changing where it is, its location. Again, I left click on it and just drag it and drop it. And here again, if I wanted the background to be different, I could change the background. Now, what does this look like when I look at it from a user view? By going up to the top toolbar and where it says preview, I can click on that, and this would be a preview of the site I've created. What's great about it is from this site, people can click through my slide deck. If they wanted to maximize the size, they can also maximize it. Along with this preview, which would be for a laptop, down here on the bottom right, there's a laptop view. There's a view from a phone, and there's also one from a tablet. I think this is the phone. This is what it would look like on a phone, and then if I had a tablet, it'd be a little bit bigger. But same thing, so you can customize it so if your users are going to be using one type of device, it'll work the best on it. Great, so we've inserted some text, we've done some images, and we've embedded stuff from Google Drive. The next thing, which is relatively new, is the embed option. So again, I'm going to double click and go to embed. And here, if I was to go somewhere to Padlet and I was looking for responses from people, this is generally how I use it, and I go to my Padlet, I can go to share, and most websites now have embed codes. So I could grab this embed code. So that's just a simple copy. Click embed code because there's a big difference between embed and URL. I can paste the HTML in, click next. This is what it's going to look like, and I just insert it. And then again, similar to the slide deck we put in, I can grab these corners and make it as big or small as I choose to. The other option with embed codes, with embedding I should say, is when I go to embed, it's by URL. So again, if I go back up to the Padlet, and it says copy link to this Padlet, so I just click that and I've copied it. I go to my test, Now, just by putting the URL in here, I get two options. I could have the whole page, which is dynamic and people could use it, or it would just be like a link to it. I'm going to stick with the dynamic because I like to keep people on my page. And again, now I have my Padlet directly on my page. What's great is when I go to preview and I scroll down, it's total, whoops, we'll change this to computer view so it'll be even bigger. But now from here people could actually use my Padlet because the plus sign's here. They just click on it and add their ideas to this one. So Google's done a great job. I think with the embed code added a lot of possibilities for everybody. The next part on insert is putting in layouts. So if you wanted to have multiple choices for people and you wanted to direct them, it's the same idea. You can put images in, you can put whole files from Google, but instead of trying to create it yourself, this makes it a little bit easier, which to do this on your own is a little difficult, I think, in Google Sites to make it actually look good. And then there's all these other choices you can work through. If you wanted to insert something from YouTube, all you have to do is get the URL, or you could do a search and it'll pop up and you just select and input it. The great thing about it is the videos will play right on your site. Alright, so the next thing we're going to look at is pages, because at this point we've created a home page and nothing else. Click on pages, and again there's the plus sign, so just click plus. Done, and I've created a new page. So up here along the header bar I'll see my home page and then my new page. And if you're not happy with the name that you've given it, you just double click, left click on it, and then you can change the name. Also, if you wanted to, as you're adding new pages, let's say that you wanted it to be a subdirectory of another one. So if I went to our Technologia page, that looks like this. So I say projects and these are my options, or I go to sessions and you have the drop downs. How you do that here is, again, you just left click on it and you drag it above and you drop it in. So now up here at the top, page 3 is under it. Now let's say on page 2 I wanted to put a link to page 3. So I could put page 3 in here, and when I said I want a link to it, so I highlight the words I want to link, I click on the link, and it'll give me options where I can just link it to page 3, and then I apply. So it's done. And then if I did not want page 3 to be here and I kind of want it to be hidden, I just hover over the new page 3, I click on those 3 circles, and I hide it from navigation. So now if you're a user and you're just clicking through my pages, page 3 is actually hidden. The only way you can get to it is from going to this page and clicking it, and it'll take you to the new page 3. I also noticed that the image, which is this robot, is a little bit confusing when you're going from one page to another. As soon as you change your home page, this picture will change the pages on the rest of them. So what you have to do is, if I was doing this one and it's not a super important page, I may not spend so much time finding a great image. I would just do title only, and I would be done with that. Great, so far we've inserted a bunch of stuff. We've learned how to do pages. Actually, I should say while we're on pages, same deal applies. If I look at my header, let's make these show them in navigation. So right now I have these new page 3 and untitled page all under this header page. If I want to get it out, I just left click on it with my mouse and I drag it to where I want. Maybe untitled page I want to be the very top page. Again, left click on it, drag it, and drop it. And now up here on your menu bar, you can see all of them. None of them are hidden. So I think that's really useful if you want to change. If you want to put them in alphabetical order, you think one's more important, you can always change that after. You don't have to keep creating new pages. This last part of the menu bar, themes, this is where you get a little bit of customization in Google Sites. So I'm just going to make this simpler because it's a little messy. But you can, number one, this is where you can change fonts, font color. You can choose a color if you wanted to. You could even put a code in. You can change the font style. Again, not a ton of choices, which for students, it makes it simple, so they're more concerned about content than they are styling it. But it's the same thing. You just go through, you can choose whichever one. Again, not a ton of choices, but I think customizable enough that you can make every site your own. All right, so I think we're pretty good with sites. I looking back at the insert, like you can put a table of contents in, simple buttons. The buttons, you put a hyperlink. A divider could be helpful if you want to like break up how everything looks. I also, a colleague, he puts in text boxes, and then he puts them in between sections to increase the space. You don't put any text in, and then when you look at it, it gives this a little bit more space between items, where sometimes I think this divider keeps everything pretty chunked together. But again, we talked about YouTube. You could put a calendar in here if you had students and you wanted everybody to know what's happening, what's due when. You could put Google Maps in, and then the rest of these are all Google stuff. So anything you created, like if I went into my slides, it would highlight only the slides that I've created. And it's the same deal. I just click on something, insert it, and it's done. But it filters everything out, so I don't have to search too hard. Finally, up here at the top, sharing with others. So I can invite people in to share this website. So if I'm working with a bunch of people on one site, you can give a lot of people access. Up here it says published. Anyone in our BOCES can access it. Not really helpful when I'm working with other people. So all I did was I clicked on the change, and I went to anyone can find and view the published version. Click save. Now that's done. This is still in draft mode. So this is still in draft mode. So I published a new one. I just clicked done. So I'm going to publish it. And I've named my site test site. So that's what it's going to be called. And all I do is click publish. And now it's accessible from anybody on the internet. So lastly, if I wanted to, the last thing up here next to the publish, the drop down, I can go into the publish settings, and here if I wanted to change my website address, I could. But if you look down here, this is actually the entire website address. So I would suggest possibly using like bit.ly to shorten your address site, because if you use bit.ly, you can condense it and you can customize it to what you really want. But you could here change, by changing that text, change the end of your website name. But I think that's about it for Google Sites, or at least to get you started. So that's about it for Google Sites. I hope this was helpful, and I hope you have success. Thanks.